Mike from around the world. Are you there?
Pastor Paul Bakley. Wait a minute. Let me get situated here.
Okay, I understand you're in a storm. You're in the storm.
There we go. Here we go. Can you guys hear me okay?
We hear you loud and clear, Mike. Sound good.
All right, great.
Are you in some storms? We won't give away your location, but are you in some storms?
Well, let me turn this up, Pastor Paul, so I can hear you.
Okay. Yep.
All right, say that again.
Are you in some of the storms that's going on?
There we go. No, sir, I'm not.
Okay.
But they are coming.
Oh.
And the cicadas, just a big patch of cicadas came up the other day. I believe a lot of people were calling 911 about it.
I knew they were coming. And matter of fact, there's two different kinds of them coming at once.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. It hasn't happened in 200 years, Mike, as you know. Do you think this it's happening? Is this in Illinois where it's happening, or Missouri, or where's it at?
Well, it's happening. Where did it happen? It happened in a couple places, Pastor Paul. So I wouldn't be surprised. Well, in one place in particular, I believe a place in two places here in America, unexpected places, they did pop up also. So here's the issue, though. We don't know where those bugs are, right? It's not like they burrow in places where we, would mark a spot. And so these things are popping up all over the place. They are beginning to scare people. They are, due to the sheer number of cicadas that have surfaced here in the past. So, I wouldn't be surprised, Pastor Paul, if you guys possibly did see something.
Let me ask you, Mike. I titled the show tonight, Danger Lurks in America. And, of course, I'm talking, yes, we have the cicadas. We had 4 major solar flares almost simultaneously. Yes. Can you talk about that, what caused that, and what that means?
Well, solar flares. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this double dip that we see in the part of the points when you're at solar maximum. You have these 2 points in a trending line, and these 2 points are when you normally have the most of your activity. Well, we just went through one. Here's another one. This is the other point that we're actually starting to come to. But there's something odd about this entire season, Pastor Paul. This season, I keep hearing the same thing from others, from colleagues, certainly from those who do certain things with the equipment, that we're in a type of cycle that we've just not seen before. Now, what that means for the Earth, I don't know. I do know that we have a polarity change on the sun. I do know that the magnetosphere of the Earth is a bit different than what it used to be. And because we're not going to be polarized in a specific or aligned in a specific direction, all that radiation from the sun, we're going to absorb. The Earth will absorb, and it will have, its effects on the Earth big time. Keep this in mind with the sun too. Without our magnetosphere in a specific direction, any CME is a Carrington event.
What?
So keep that in mind.
Why, Mike? Why would anyone be
any CME? Well, right now, solar winds travel. They hit the bow shock of the magnetosphere, and they're being pushed all over the place, and they follow these known magnetic field lines into the Earth, right? If that ever changes, the polarity of the Earth dealing with the magnetosphere, right? If that ever changes, the Earth will not absorb that radiation and redirect it like that again. The Earth will allow that radiation to breach the surface of the Earth. And if it actually hits the surface of the Earth, then everybody gets touched by radiation. And, well, Pastor Paul, according to the Word of God, fire's coming.
You know, you've talked about this global conflagration of fire. We're seeing strange winds. I mean, right now we're in this incredible the next 4 days we're going to see unbelievable storms. Okay, right now there's 5 active severe weather warnings.
Yes.
and they're in Kansas, Nebraska, and Texas.
Yes.
But this is going to be all weekend, day and night, all night long. Just unbelievable. The whole Midwest. No, not just Midwest. From Texas all the way to Ontario, Canada. God bless you for another offering coming in. So, Mike, it's easy for people to say, well, Paul, it's April, it's spring. But is there, with that atmospheric compression, is there more danger to look forward to now?
Unfortunately, with these storms comes a lot of water, a lot of wind, in particular, these winds. And yes, with a greater ability for the clouds to hold moisture and water, with higher winds means greater hail, unexpected storm formations that we're just not used to. Infrastructure damage. Danger is very dangerous for the infrastructure, for everything. When these storms come through and they start building up like this, we're already at the one of those red lines concerning the budget, right? Concerning insurance companies concerning budgets. Some insurance companies no longer give coverage for these natural disasters. Some insurance companies, some of these smaller licensed brokers, well, they're gone. They're out of business. And the reason why is because they're paying out too much money for damages concerning these storms. But the drivers of these storms, it'll continue to encapsulate the earth.
Now, wait a minute. What do you mean the drivers of these storms? Is there HARP or genetic? Is there seeding going on? Is there chemtrails going on? Is there weather modification going on?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't limit it to just one thing, but I would say this. I would say that the greater majority of these storms, one of the uniform problems that we're going to face are these external influences to the Earth, right? As they continue to press in the upper atmosphere, especially some of this atmospheric compression is causing a density shift in our upper atmospheres. More material, of course, in the upper atmospheres, causing these clouds to be a bit more dense and heavier than what they used to be, doing much more damage than the end of the storm before it. That's going to get worse, just way worse. It'll continue to grow. These storms are just beginning. They're just beginning. They're going to get far worse than what we're used to.
Mike, I'm going to ask. Okay, we talked about meteorites coming, and I keep getting emails from people. Ask Mike again. It's almost May. Are these meteorites coming to hit us, or is it just going to be more of them? Can he give us some insight?
At first, we'll have more, right? We'll just have more at first. So, but then they build up to a crescendo. We absolutely 1,000% are going to get hit by these objects.
1,000%. Whoa!
Yeah, we are. There's no way we can dodge this dust cloud that we're about to travel through. Keep in mind that this entire solar system is moving. We're going through a spot in the solar system we've not seen before. Lots of, some people have the ability to see what's out there. They're not going to share it. They're not going to panic the public. But we're going to pass through some trash, lots of trash, for a few years, and it's going to be very dangerous on the surface of the Earth. It's going to be an unfortunate thing, but nevertheless, that's what we have to entertain as a meteor storm. So no, we're not going to dodge it. We're absolutely going to go through it. As far as the absolute timing of this storm, I could, people like myself, I've seen the parts of the optics, right?
Yes.
But you have folks out there who know absolutely when we're going to enter. I would rather not know the specifics in that, but I will tell you this: we're already in that window. We're in the window right now.
Okay.
So
start
if it
preparing.
started, because if it started, once it starts, people who know about this are going to have an understanding that it's not going to stop, just in one night. It's going to continue to evolve, so to speak, and to get worse. And there's no doubt they will cause some major damage and fires all over the place.
Mike, as this binary system, I just read an article earlier this week where these scientists, it includes Mike Brown from former NASA. Thank you, God bless you for giving. NASA, Mike Brown, and then there's Kabashkin. I forgot his last name now. They have said for sure, they have confirmed that there is a Planet X. That once this new Chilean observation observatory is built, which is going to have the most powerful telescope ever, they're going to be able to see it. They're saying we're going to see it then. So they're already coming out and saying, we know it's there. The gravitational pull on not only our solar system, but on some of the others out there, they're already seeing the pull. They're calculating. What do you think that means? I mean, is it what you've been talking about? I mean, Gil Brazard, BP Earthwatch. I mean, our next webinar is called Pole Shift. Is it right timing for this one? I mean, what's happening here?
Oh, yeah. I believe that, based on their findings, these guys they're pretty sharp too. They've been looking for, they won't let that subject go. It's a good thing they haven't. But they are adamant that there's an object traveling with us right outside the reach of view of most people, but that it's there. And it does explain some of the perturbations in some of the gravitational pools and some of the obvious celestial issues that people have when they're calculating for craft that go outside of the influences of Earth. It does explain quite a few things like that. Now, I would say this: those guys they're very astute in what they're looking for, and I kind of agree. There is something out there, but Pastor Paul, I also have to say this: if it's been out there this entire time, the entire time, it does not explain the massive pull that we have in one direction of the entire solar system. At one point, it just doesn't explain that part. It does explain certain pulls that we have internally. So what I'm proposing is this: suppose we did have an additional body with us, an additional planet with us, but also suppose if we still had a binary problem coming. Right, so that's
wait a minute. Additional. Wait, let's talk about this.
Additional, not just. Well, a lot of people, they see Nibiru, correct?
Right.
They see, or some call it planet number 9. We still have a large gravitational force out there wreaking havoc, and it's pulling our entire solar system toward it. It's causing changes solar system wide.
So are you saying Nibiru is Nibiru? Let's see if we can clarify this. Is Nibiru the moon that circles Planet X, let's just say, or some binary system? Is that happening, or is there something else going on?
Well, there could be an additional issue that we're facing here, because if we have an object with us, and there has been something notable with us, sitting right there on the outskirts of sight, right?
Okay.
Something out there pretty large. So suppose there's a how BP believe he's persistent with Jupiter being a failed sun,
yes,
which I don't disagree. He
says that Jupiter could even be the binary for our sun. Okay, not that there isn't another big one out there, but I kind of
there is a story about Jupiter that most people are not. Well, a lot of people are not familiar with, but that's for a later story. But suppose it is a failed sun, right?
Okay.
Or not actually a failed sun. It just they failed to ignite it. Even if it was of magnitude and that it accounted for some of the movements of the planets, it still does not explain the solar system wide tug that we've been experiencing. It just nothing is explaining that. there's something else out there. Plus, they've been able to see something for quite some time, right?
Okay.
And it's scaring them to death. I mean, literally to death. Um, they won't let it go, and it's not in the direction that any other planet would normally be in. So they're looking at something outside of our solar system, something of something very dark, something way out there that evidently is coming closer.
So okay, let's see if I got this right. We've got Nibiru, or some sort of. We have another binary object that we can't even see, but all the mathematical equations and all the gravitational pull says it has to be there. We have this is affecting our sun dramatically. Our pole is in danger of shifting from it, from the gravitational pull or whatever, the polarity that's taking place. And then we have meteorites, this massive. I think I remember you telling me 2 clouds of meteorites that are coming into our galactical plane, or we're coming
about
into
2.5 million miles. Yep.
Okay,
yep.
That there's no way to
7
get
years in depth.
7 years in depth.
Right.
Help us understand that one again. I know it's been a while since we talked about it.
It'll take about 7 years to actually get through it.
How are we going to? Okay, now you've been great about explaining to us that our planet is made with a force field, almost a magnetosphere,
right.
And that it's just by the grace of God this stuff's been racing by us.
That's correct.
But there is some prophecy, Mike, as you know, in Revelation 8 that says, "Hey, we're going to get hit with a couple things. It's going to cause some problems." Do you see that coming? Do you see that coming soon?
I do. I did, and the reason why is because prophecy is incredible. And one of the incredible parts is it foretells of mankind and what they'll do. And let's take, for example, last week. Many people do not know how close. People were just walking around like normal last week, Pastor Paul. Do you not know that we were minutes away from a nuclear war?
What? Wait a minute. Last week? Whoa!
Last week.
Wait a minute.
No. We were only minutes away from a nuclear war, and not only a nuclear war, but they were actually handling foreign target packets. So, last week was very tasking.
Thank you, Barbara. So, let's talk about it. Israel. I mean, I don't know if is it Russia? Is it China? Is it Iran?
No, that was the USA. The USA. Well, Israel was about to attack Iran on several different fronts. Right.
Okay.
They were not going to hit, just hit small like they did. No, they were going for everything. They were going to totally dismantle Iran, right? And in Pakistan, other countries have found out about this, and they would have made a move. And so we had to get ready for nuclear retaliation. So the USA, in conjunction, in coordination with other places, also had nuclear forces on very high alert. They did not know what was happening. We had never gotten this close before, not to the point of packet exchange, which means these are actual authenticated codes, right? Mm-hmm. Code packages for launch. But we were there. We were right there.
So when you say we were there,
that was Wednesday. That was Wednesday.
Today's
right before,
Thursday.
That was last Wednesday.
So last Wednesday.
That could have been very bad.
So we were at the brink, you're saying, of World War III. So danger lurks in America. It's not just okay. So you see what's going on now. The stone steps. I mean, the president. Yes. Look, this judge at any minute could just say, "You're in violation of a gag order. Put him in jail for 10 days." That could happen, couldn't it?
Yes, it could. And you see the people. My goodness. With the stone steps, since that dream passport, they've been trying to incarcerate just about everybody. But remember, when that person is escorted down the stone steps, the people are implacable. The people are they're so polarized, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, we're having more and more demonstrations. Um, it's just that the people are polarized. You can't make peace with
Maybe
them.
you should tell us. There's people who haven't heard this. Maybe you should tell that dream. I mean, this was several years ago. You had it like 4 or 5 years ago.
Actually, the stone steps. Actually, that took place in 2000, somewhere back in 2010.
Okay.
Somewhere way back there.
This is way before Trump. This is way before Trump got in there. Okay.
Correct. Okay. Which is why it's so odd. And
tell us.
Back then, there was it began prior to the dream started with me backing off the earth, and I could see a brown cloud coming towards the USA from the west. That brown cloud had tentacles, and it reached everywhere. Those tentacles did. Right after that, I saw a person who was escorted in front of, with the legal building, with the stone steps, all the fixtures. But this person was escorted by people in uniform. I'd never seen those type of uniforms before. Like down into the streets. Armored cars were in the streets. People were shouting. They were either for or against them. The streets were crowded. The streets were loud, noisy, violent. And the people were on edge, just incredibly on edge. Everybody at that point was divided as they began to escort him down, right? I'm looking at this guy that they had to escort down, and it didn't make sense at the time. It made no sense that the people would be so moved. They would either love the guy or hate the guy, but there was no in between, right? They either loved or hated the guy.
Right.
And the people just couldn't, you couldn't say anything to the people. They were, whatever position they had. Anyway, this guy was escorted down the stone steps, and he had to be put into that armored car. The people, how the people were, we were so distant. People were so far away from being like that in 2010, but now they're just like that. They are just like that these days. More and more people will not listen to reason. They just
so you're saying people have made their mind up now. We're so divisive. This country, Civil War. This movie just came out, which is I haven't seen it yet, but I'm really nervous about even seeing it. I don't know if you've seen it, Mike, but just the fact that there's a movie out that says Civil War during this year of 2024, we're very divisive, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. No, I haven't seen that movie, but it didn't take a big imagination to see that we're right there in the first place. We are incredibly divided. People have made up their minds, and it's the lines that separate us are just becoming broader and deeper, broader and deeper. But at any rate, when this person was taken, Pastor Paul, the streets erupted. I mean, they erupted.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, 20 million people died.
Oh, that's the thing. Let me write it down. 20 million people died.
Yeah. Shortly after that,
and I know you've said this before. It's this huge number. Shortly after, this individual was taken and arrested, handcuffed, taken down the stone steps, being incarcerated. They put this individual in a armored car, and it took.
Well, he went in that armored car, but the one thing I couldn't see.
Okay.
I couldn't hear what his fate was.
Okay, you don't know.
I couldn't hear that. But I don't know. He was just escorted down the stone steps, and he was put in that armored car. And shortly after that, the people erupted. I mean, they erupted.
You mean violence?
Broke out everywhere.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then shortly after that, 20 million people died all at one time here in America.
Okay, that would have
because
to
America
be
was hit externally.
Okay, so in other words, while America starts fighting with itself over this individual taking down the stone steps and incarcerated and we don't know for how long he's supposed to be or whatever. We don't know. then there's an external attack on America that kills 20 million people. You saw this in the stream, what, 4, 5, 6 years ago? Can you tell us?
Yeah, that was 2010. That was 2010.
That's 14 years ago, Mike. And was the individual who was taken on, do you know who he was in the Stone Steps?
Yes, I do.
And are you shocked by, is it potentially, it could be him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it made no sense.
You've been telling me this for at least 7 or 8 years. I mean, you've been telling me about this dream for 7 or 8 years. People have drove me crazy with emails saying, "Who's the Stone Steps? Can you tell us who it is?"
Right. I mean, they can't get that confused with the coffin, right? Because
that's two different dreams.
He was not in the coffin.
He wasn't in the coffin. Right.
But I never told anybody who was or who was not right there at the Stone Steps. I never said anything about that.
No, you haven't.
Purposely.
I think we can start to sense it and figure it out.
I think people can start to see what that is, but it just won't go away.
No, and the coffin's a different individual, and I know who that is, but the Stone Steps is a different individual. So,
correct.
Which do you think comes first, Mike? The coffin or the Stone Steps, or do you
That's
know?
I do not know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. There are only 3 dreams I've ever had about this country. Only 3. And one had to do with the Stone Steps. The other had to do with an instant siege. This one was terrible.
Well, tell us about that one.
Well, I was near an airport.
Okay.
And I just got done talking to an Army captain.
Okay.
And, I was wishing him well as he went on getting on the airplane. Then all of a sudden, everybody changed. I mean, everybody. And this cab driver comes up. I'm looking at everybody starting to do, they're not speaking. They just start doing things. They're not speaking. People are screaming. I'm starting to see some people are, they just don't fare too well.
Okay.
The folks that were doing weird things, right? They were every walk of life, every type of job you can imagine. And this cab comes up and this guy says, I get in the back of the cab. And the guy says, you got about 5 minutes to get out, right? To get out. I said, well, take me out of town. He said, no, you got 5 minutes to get out. And I'm thinking, I said,
what?
Wait a minute. I have status here. What is he talking about?
Right.
And then so he looks at me and he says, get out of the cab.
Get out of the cab?
Asking me.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he said, I can't take you where you want to go. He was being nice.
Yeah.
And then he told me to get out, right? When he told me to get out, I saw these other people come down the street and they told this other guy to get out the cab. He started fighting, right?
Okay.
So he fought. He said, I'm not getting out there. And before he could finish, they shot him in the head. Before he could finish.
They shot him?
And so and this old lady was driving up with her daughter in front of this looked like an apartment building. And as she grabbed the groceries, they grabbed her. Now, she was an old, fragile lady. They grabbed her and they drug her into her house. They kept asking her, what house does she live in? She wasn't answering fast enough. And they purposely slammed her to the ground.
No.
And drug her by the feet. Now, this is an elderly lady. Drug her by the feet and threw her. After she told them what house she lived in, eventually, they threw her in there and told her, don't come out. They told everybody else, do not come out of their homes, right? They had somebody standing outside of troublemakers' homes, but people changed. People went from being normal, just like they are now, to something else. They didn't speak, but they were following some sort of plan. It's like they activated. When they did activate, they were very precise in what they were doing. They were giving instructions. If you didn't comply, you would be injured very bad. If you resisted, you would be injured very bad. If you were too slow, you would be injured very bad, right? For example, if they said, get in the car, right? Say if they said, get in the car, get in the truck, and you were too slow and you didn't want to get all the way in, they would drag you down the road with your clothing stuck in a car door or a truck door. right? They would not wait on you. They had no mercy on people. These people just changed. These people were immigrants. They were Caucasian. They were black. They were white. They were, every nationality, every
Right.
walk of life, every type of person in America. This happened in America. I remember the fear of being inside an apartment, hearing the fear because they wouldn't tell anybody anything. They just wouldn't communicate. They would not. Nobody knew what was happening. Nobody could find out anything by television. Nobody
I
could.
think it's I think it's important to confirm the dreams this dream you're talking about, because you had a dream that you saw me before you ever even saw me. You saw me in a dream.
Yeah, I did.
You want
I
to
did.
share that a minute? Because there's people here who've
Yeah,
never heard that.
long before I met you. This is a long time before. This is years before I met you. Um, there was a guy. I found myself on. It was hot too. It was hot that day, but there was a gathering, and people were going to this gathering. They were sitting under these tables with umbrellas. When they first went to the gathering, they were in all types of clothing, right? Some new, some old, some
Right.
torn up.
Right.
It didn't matter. They were going
Right.
to this gathering. In the gathering, though, there was each person was themselves, right? And so the more they stayed in the gathering, the more they started to change. But some people thought within themselves, this is when I started switching who I was in. Some people said, well, I got things to take care of, so I'm going to go back and check my bank account and money. Well, guess what? Those people never made it back to the gathering.
Wow.
Some
Okay.
people, this one guy, right? He said, oh, I forgot my medication. He was a veteran. He said, I forgot my medication. And I can remember in his mind, he didn't want to start feeling yucky, is the only way I can explain it. If he didn't have his medication, he would start feeling yucky.
Okay.
And he didn't want to feel that way. So he started thinking about his medication. He never made it back to the
Mm.
gathering. He never
Mm.
did.
Mm.
Anybody who had a secondary plan, they never made it back to the gathering.
Mm.
Now, because they never made it back, they were lost. I saw their fate too. These black things that were in the heavens came down without warning, so swift, right? This one guy was with his family. He had a daughter, he had a wife, and he was walking. He went away from them because everything around him started changing. This black thing came out and pushed his soul out of his body down into nothingness. This guy is screaming. And then that thing that came from the heavens that was black took over his body and it walked back to his family. While that other guy was in some sort of dimension screaming and hollering. He couldn't do anything, right? This kept happening over and over. If anybody had a secondary plan, they'd never make it back to the gathering. And those entities would eventually get them, would push them out of their bodies and have them put into a place that looked like torment or something. And then those black things would take their place. Can you imagine if a person went to church and they stopped and they said, well, let me go back and check my bank account. And they never made it back to church. But something pushed their soul out of their body, right? That person goes into a type of suffering while this thing walks around like it's them. That's what was happening.
Mm.
Um, all these people had things on the back burner, right? The veteran in particular, I remember this guy did not want to feel icky. This other person was checking on the bank account because they had transactions. They had to check on. I now understand that to be crypto, right? This person
Wow.
had transactions to check on. I can now understand that to be crypto. So it's almost like anybody who had a secondary plan, they just didn't come back. Here's the beauty of it though. So I get back to the gathering. I'm sitting there, and everybody is waiting on someone. Now remember, they were sitting there in all types of clothing and everything else. The sun started going down, right?
Okay. Okay.
Um, and as people sat there, their clothes started changing. This guy, I could start to hear him. He was on a boat coming around a corner on the water, And he kept saying, "Are you serious? What?
Oh, come
What?"
on,
That's
come
what he kept
on.
saying.
Okay.
Just like that. Now, you know what the funny part is? When I had this dream, right, I explained this to a person, and we were sitting there talking about it. And this person said, "I know who that is." And I was like, "Get out of here. You don't know who that is." And this was like, what was this? Was like a year, 2 years later. This person said, "I know who that is." Right? I said, "Get out of here." So it probably took about it took some months. And then this person said, "I'm going to show you who was in your dream." And
And
then we finally turn to your channel and I hear it. "What?
are you
Are you serious?" I
serious?
said,
Okay.
you know what? My stomach dropped when I heard that. I said, "No way,
Wow.
no way,
Wow.
no way." I said, "This is the guy." Now, Pastor, this is something when you were coming around that curve
Yeah.
on that boat and you were saying this, the people were renewed. Every moment they stayed in that gathering, they were renewed. In other words, they came in clothed, some were beat up, some had problems.
Yeah.
No one had an idea that they were being renewed. No one had an idea they were being renewed.
In other
When
words,
you finally came around,
okay.
the sun went down.
What?
The sun went down. When you finally made it around, the sun went down. It went down.
What do you think that means?
Well, you know when the Lord says, "Work while it's day," because when the night comes, no man can work.
Yep. Yep.
I believe the night is coming.
Mm.
I honestly believe that you represent that night. And as your ministry grows, you're a marker in time, in a calendar
Mm.
that doesn't belong to anybody.
Mm.
Because in the dream, you came around on a boat, right?
Yeah, that's what you
What are
said.
the chances that your first company that you're on satellite with would be called Lassie? Are you kidding
I
me?
know.
Are you
So
kidding
let's
me?
see.
That's unbelievable.
And you saw me on a boat
Yes.
in the sea. So
And
coming
you're
up on
pretty
the
unmistakable. You got one of those unmistakable personalities,
right.
right?
When there's nobody
So
saying, "Are you serious?" There's nobody like
nobody,
that. Okay.
nobody,
So what did
nobody.
you do when you seen the channel and you saw me say, "Are you serious?" What? What did you think? Like,
Well,
oh my
after my
God.
stomach dropped, my
Okay.
stomach dropped, I went to my knees, right?
Okay.
Because I didn't need anything else. I said, "Here it is. Here it is.
Mm.
Here it
Mm.
is." And I began to do things on my end. There were things I had to do on my end
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah.
So everything would line up perfectly.
I remember your first call. The first time you called into that show, because back in those days I had call-ins. This was
Right.
early. I mean, I just got started, I was doing those
Yeah.
call-ins. And you called in. I had a lot of call-ins, okay? I had a lot of people, a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of good stuff, a lot of crazy stuff. You called in, and I knew right then, whoa, something different here. This is somebody different. This is somebody that's God sent. I wanted to hear what you had to say. And I said, could you call tomorrow? Can you call in tomorrow? I still didn't know your name. I didn't know who you were. Matter of fact, I didn't never know who you were for probably a good 4 or 5 years before you finally disclosed that to me personally. And I promised you that I would never, ever, 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 ever reveal your name, and I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I knew then that there was something prophetic about you, that God was using you. And God kept telling, and I was getting some heat from people. Like, why are you listening to this guy? Why are you calling? Why are you bringing him on the show? I mean, Mike, I'm just to be honest with you. I was getting heat from some supporters.
Yeah.
But God told me.
I had my own heat.
Oh, I know you did. You probably got heat from
I did.
saying, why are you going on Begley every Thursday night? That guy's an idiot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I got some severe heat from that.
So we both have. But
I knew.
Yeah.
I just knew.
I knew too. I knew too. So is this important for people now that you and I both know God put us together for such a time as this? And the people know by now. I mean, most of the people know. I mean, we have thousands of people watch this every Thursday. Do you feel like at this point, Mike? Yeah, the pineapple shirt. I know. You know why I haven't worn the pineapple shirt in a while? I wait till the Lord tells me to. I've got them. I got two. Yeah. I got them sitting in I got one for sure that I know is the one you talk about, hanging in my closet. I will not put it on till the Lord tells me to do it. It's probably been 1.5 years since I did it. Do you feel at this point, Mike, as God is speaking to you prophetically, He speaks to me prophetically, and I'm sure He speaks to other people as well out there. Do you think we're coming down the stretch, or do you think there's what's going to happen here in America? Are we really lurking in danger? I mean, am I wrong by putting that in the title? I pray about these titles every week.
Yeah, you're right about that title. You know what? From what I can see, from where I am, we're dodging bullets every single day. You know, right now, there's a major positioning of some terrible weapons that are taking place right now. If people knew what was being positioned right now, they'd be on their knees.
Yeah.
They would be scared to death.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
There are worse things than nuclear weapons. Worse things. And right now, you know, things are so diluted, so odd. You have folks who are supporting Hamas within the USA. You have people who are close to retirement within the USA, and they hate the Jews deeply. They hate the Jews that much that they would assist some of these folks who have come to our country only to do damage. They would assist them and to further set up these areas of tension all around the globe, all around the USA. There are plots. Our infrastructure is being hit tonight, right now. Water treatment plants.
Right now, Mike. Right
now at this moment. And so people are probing us big time. I mean, probing us big time. You only probe a country like that prior to your offensive, right? Prior to you launching something at that country. So we're being probed right now. We are being controlled right now. Narratives are being controlled. Most people are I'll tell you something. It's like being a person who leans towards conservative values, right? There are certain people among those conservatives that are committing nothing but sheer treason. I mean, treason.
Wow.
If you think about something, there's a communist way about folks that should not be in our capital. They are nothing short of communists. Now, have you noticed there's no democracy in them? They are communists, and they're growing. They're causing people to take the communist way. They're not calling it the communist way, but they're causing people to believe in communism.
Yes.
More and more people are believing in communism. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a very dark path to destruction. Very dark. So, you look at things like that, Pascal, we're so incredibly close. We are so incredibly close.
These colleges that are protesting, Mike, about the war that's going on in Israel.
Yeah.
We haven't seen hardly any, if any, people standing up for Israel right now. Everybody that is just saying you guys are idiots and they're not doing anything. But are you shocked by 200? First, it started in our Ivy League schools, but spreading now to over 200 colleges across the country. Is this going to slow down? Is it going to die down this summer, or is it going to get worse? Do you see other people like BM or Antifa, or MoveOn.org? Do you see other people jumping in on this?
Yeah, and I can see a lot more coming in on it as well. And unfortunately, it's that old adage: a person will utilize any vehicle they can to practice hatred. Right? If a person has hate in them, then everything becomes an excuse to utilize that hatred. It really does. If a person is full of peace, you can't make that person act like a heathen. You just can't do it, no matter what circumstance you throw in front of them. But you have a lot of folks, Pascal, who are angry. They're angry.
Yeah.
And they want to exercise that anger. They want to take their frustrations out on someone. right? They really do. And what they're starting to say about the Jews is sickening. Within this country, it
Yeah,
is sickening.
yeah, it really is. Mike, I know you came in a little late, but we're going to let you go. I just want to know if you can give us some words of wisdom here at this point. And um, we got external forces coming, as far as I'm talking about, outside of our universe that are coming
Yeah.
in. We got wars and rumors of wars. I don't. When do you know? Do you know have any idea when Russia, Ukraine's ever going? What's the plan? How does this thing end? Do you know?
Well, here's something. Since the USA supported this last support package for the Ukraine, has also been one that has shown Russia who is ready to negotiate, who is not. And unfortunately, we're not quite there in a position where we are ready to negotiate. I believe that a war is going to come from this. I really do.
A
War
war
will come
from
from it.
Russia,
Yes,
Ukraine war?
yes,
Is it with you?
yes.
Is it you with NATO or?
It is specifically because of NATO. NATO, Poland right now is warning everybody. Hey, you guys better get you better get your people ready for a nuclear strike. This is what Poland is telling everybody around them, and these countries are not doing that for popularity. They're not.
No.
You have folks in Germany right now. Germany took it serious. They're taking that nuclear threat serious, and they're starting to get some package together to pass before their legislature to get their populace ready for a nuclear war. The USA is going to have to do the exact same thing. We're going to have to get everybody ready for a tight missile barrage, for chemical warfare, chemical biological warfare, nuclear warfare. That's going to become a very real thing, and it will upset the plans of a great many people. Right? It's not going to be according to someone's neat timeline. It will upset everything. I mean, everything. And when that takes place, uh, folks will know. They'll have a deeper sense of knowing about them in these things. Um, but yeah, this is one of those seasons, basketball, where everything builds up to a crescendo, and then finally, without further ado, we're in it, and this will be number three. Number three, the Third World War. This will be number three.
Yeah, and the Bible talks
Yep.
about it in Revelation. It calls it the Sixth Trumpet War, but it's
Yep.
it's World War III, and we can't stop it, can we, Mike? I mean, it's destined to happen. We can delay it,
It is.
maybe. We can.
Yeah.
Do you see Trump? Here's a wild question. I'm gonna let you go after this, but does Trump win this election, or is this just it's impossible and this thing? I mean, there's no way to get around all the obstacles. What's your thought, Mike? I'm not holding it
Well,
to you. I'm not holding you to it, but
look, to be honest, right now, Fastball, even if he went to jail, right, if he could get out and still be electable, right, he'll be elected. How about
yeah,
that? Because they're not going to pick Joe Biden. Even the people who are supporting Joe Biden right now are not comfortable with him because they don't think he's going to live long enough. That's why. Now, if he somehow demonstrated to everybody that he's going to be around far after 2024, then they would probably vote for him. But everybody should understand, in order to prove that point, it's going to take one of those gentlemen to knock out the other, right? It's going to
right. It
require
is.
one of those
Yes.
gentlemen to really knock out the other. Uh, that's going to be bad, if that happens. But that is one of the only ways they would accept, a presidency like that, because it's going to be long duration. It's going to be quick though. It'll happen fairly quick. I believe that there's a certain device that Russia is going to get its hands onto within a few days. And when they get their hands on this device,
What?
they're going to have a change in direction, big time. Change in direction, big time.
A device. If Russia
Yeah,
gets their hands on a device,
hmm they'll have a change in direction.
maybe
Yeah.
we should talk about that next week, so I don't
Well,
get a
we
migraine.
may have no choice. It's possibility we may have no choice. It may become quite obvious, but Yeah, but if it's not, we'll certainly, give some more insights into it. But yeah, Russia is quite busy, and Russia is not who or what people would like Russia to be. Everything is not so black and white these days. It's not.
Yeah, you're right about that. I agree with 100%. Mike, thank you for coming and being on tonight. I'm sorry that you had trouble getting on here. You had issues, I guess. I don't know if it's weather or what you had going on, but I know you're a busy man and there's things that happen. You're here tonight. You got here and you gave us great info. We appreciate you coming on and doing that tonight, and I hope to talk to you next week, next Thursday night.
Pastor, God bless you. It's an honor. You sure will. I'll be here next week. I'll be on time probably too. Tonight was one of those
crazy nights. I know.
All.
I've been through a lot of those. Okay, we'll give you. Don't worry. God bless you, Mike. Thank you for coming with us tonight. Thank you for the great information. God bless you.
All right, Pastor. God bless you. It's an honor.
All right,
God bless.
Bye.